If you were walking down Rothschild Boulevard in Tel Aviv this morning, honestly, you wouldn't notice anything different.
No, not at all.
Right. The cafes are packed. People are complaining about the traffic. The tech sector is just humming along like it always does.
Business as usual.
Exactly. But if you had the clearance to actually walk into the frantic hallways of the Kyria, the IDF headquarters, you'd see a completely different reality.
Yeah.
Because officially, the switch has been flipped.
Yeah, it has.
The IDF is now on defensive alert.
And that is a term that sounds very bureaucratic, but it is actually quite rare.
Right.
It's not just a catchphrase they throw around for the press. Defensive alert means specific operational triggers have literally been pulled.
Like what?
Well, leave is canceled for key units. Radar systems are running on these high-gain modes that, they burn out components way faster, but they see further.
Wow.
It basically means the entire system is vibrating at a frequency that usually only happens hours before a war actually starts.
And that is exactly the disconnect we want to explore with you today in this deep dive. We have a massive report from Culti that just dropped.
It's a huge report.
It really is. It's titled, IDF Declares Defensive Alert as Trump Considers Attack on Iran. And the headline that really grabs you isn't just the alert status itself, it's the timeline.
The 10 days.
Yes, President Trump is reportedly 10 days away from a decision.
And I mean 10 days. That is an absolute lifetime in this region.
It really is. So our mission today is to sift through all this noise for you. We need to figure out if this is just another round of negotiation by threat, which we've seen, a dozen times?
Easily.
Or if the machinery of war is actually moving this time. So we're going to look at the logistics, the public sentiment, and this really weird game of signaling happening right now between Washington and Jerusalem.
Right.
But before we get into the heavy hardware, and we will absolutely talk about the carriers, we need to set the scene and talk about the psychology here. Because, just as a reminder, we are in late February 2026.
Context is everything here.
Yeah.
You really cannot understand the mood in Israel right now without looking at the calendar.
Right.
We are less than a year out from the 12-day war of June 2025.
Right. And normally, after a war, even a really short one like that, you'd expect a period of exhaustion.
Yeah, people just want quiet.
Exactly. They want to rebuild. But the data we're seeing from this new Channel 12 poll suggests the exact opposite is happening.
It's totally counterintuitive. The poll asked a very straightforward question: should Israel participate in a U.S.-led attack against Iran?
And usually getting Israelis to agree on a lunch order is impossible.
Literally impossible. But here, 59% said yes.
Wow.
Only 29% opposed it.
That number just seems incredibly high for a population that was, sitting in bomb shelters just 8 months ago.
It does, but that's exactly why the number is high. See, the 12-day war last June, it ended, but it didn't really resolve anything.
Okay.
It was viewed by a lot of security experts and clearly by the general public as a tactical exchange that essentially ended in a strategic draw.
So they view it as a tie.
Yeah, and in the Middle East, a tie is very often seen as a loss for the stronger power.
That makes sense.
The threat from Tehran wasn't neutralized, right? It was just postponed. So what you're seeing in that 59% isn't bloodthirstiness, it's a desire for closure.
They just want it done.
Exactly. There's this sense across the entire political spectrum, coalition and opposition alike, that the limited approach just failed. If we're going to do this again, they want to finish it.
I guess that explains why the support cuts across party lines.
Yeah.
Usually the opposition would be just hammering the government on a potential war, calling it a distraction.
Right, absolutely.
But here, they seem to be in lockstep.
It's a very rare moment of consensus.
All right.
It really suggests that the Israeli public has internalized the idea that a direct confrontation is inevitable at this point. They've stopped asking if, and they've started asking when. Okay,
so the public pulse is ready. But let's look at the actual official military posture. We have the official word from Brigadier General Effie Dufresne, the IDF spokesman.
And his wording was intense.
Very. He said, and I'm quoting, "Here we are with eyes wide open in all directions and our finger more than ever on the trigger."
Finger on the trigger. That is very, very specific imagery.
It is. But look, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
At the exact same time he's saying that, the Homefront Command,
Yeah.
The people actually responsible for telling civilians what to do, they haven't changed a single public guideline.
Not one.
No orders to stock water, no orders to open public shelters. If the finger is genuinely on the trigger, why aren't they telling people to duck?
Well, that is the classic dilemma of what they call routine under emergency.
Routine under emergency.
Yeah. If you tell the public to prepare for war too early, you end up crashing your own economy.
Oh, right.
The stock market dives, the shekel drops, productivity just halts. You basically hand the enemy a massive victory without a single shot being fired.
So they're just trying to maintain this facade of normalcy.
It's not just a facade, though. It's a strategic necessity.
Yeah.
But you're right, it creates this massive cognitive dissonance. The military is fully mobilized, eyes wide open, while the civilians are literally stuck in traffic. It's a high-wire act.
For sure.
If the shooting starts and people are in shelters, the government takes the blame. But if they panic the public and nothing happens, they also take the blame.
Talk about a thankless job.
Seriously.
But let's pivot to the thing that really can't be hidden or spun, the scale of preparation behind the scenes. Because, you can lie with press releases, but you cannot fake the movement of massive amounts of heavy metal.
Exactly. Amateurs talk strategy, professionals talk logistics.
I love that phrase.
And the logistics report that leaked to Axios is, well, it's startling.
Yeah, they explicitly mention a multi-week campaign.
Which immediately tells you everything you need to know. This is not a pinprick strike.
Right.
A multi-week campaign implies a sustained joint U.S.-Israeli air dominance operation. It means you're taking out air defenses, then you're taking out command and control, and then you're going after the deep targets. You don't need multiple weeks for a symbolic slap on the wrist.
And the report notes, this would be even larger than the 12-day bombing campaign led by Israel last June.
Much larger.
And the hardware completely backs that up. We know the U.S. has moved 2 carrier strike groups into the region.
Yes.
Now, I know one carrier is a massive deal, but is the second one just there for redundancy? Or does it fundamentally change the capability?
Oh, it changes everything.
Really?
Yeah. See, one carrier allows you to conduct strikes for maybe 12 to 14 hours a day before you have to cycle your flight deck crews and reset. It's powerful, but it leaves gaps.
Okay.
2 carriers allow for 24-hour continuous blue water operations.
Wow.
You can have hundreds of fighter jets over the target area around the clock. One deck is launching while the other deck is recovering. It signals total saturation capability.
So 2 carriers isn't just double the power, it's a completely different kind of pressure.
Precisely. It allows for persistence over the battlefield. And then you have the cargo flights.
Oh man, the cargo flights. The report mentions over 150 military cargo flights have delivered weapons and ammo in just the last few weeks.
150 flights.
I'm trying to visualize that scale.
Yeah.
What exactly are they carrying? Are we just talking about like MREs and tents?
No, absolutely not. You don't fly C-17s and C-5 Galaxies in that kind of volume for lunch meat.
Fair point.
Based on the multi-week profile they're talking about, we can make some very educated guesses.
Okay, lay it out.
They're likely bringing in JDAM kits to convert dumb bombs into precision weapons. They're definitely bringing in bunker busters, the GBU series, which are incredibly heavy and take up a lot of weight capacity.
Right.
And critically, they're likely bringing in interceptors for the Iron Dome and Arrow air defense systems.
Quadrashing the shield.
Exactly. Because in the 2025 war, those stocks were severely depleted. If you're planning a campaign that is larger than June, you know the return fire is going to be massive.
Yeah, of course.
You need thousands of interceptors on the ground before you fire the first shot. 150 flights is roughly 10,000 to 12,000 tons of gear. That is an invasion-level logistics train. It's not just a diplomatic signal.
That really puts the probabilities we're seeing into perspective. A White House official actually estimated the likelihood of military action in the coming weeks at 90%.
90%. And that is a terrifying number for a bureaucrat to put on paper.
Right.
90% basically means the decision has effectively been made, and they are literally just waiting for the weather to clear or the final asset to arrive in theater. And Coltott noted that 2 Israeli officials believe war could break out within days.
But hold on, let's look at the timeline. If the probability is 90%, and war could be within days, and CBS News reported that the military told Trump they were ready to launch as early as this past Saturday.
Right, the Saturday report.
Yeah. Why haven't they? Why are we sitting here talking about a 10-day waiting game?
Because readiness and timing are two very different things. Just because the gun is loaded doesn't mean it's the right second to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
There are diplomatic boxes to check, you have to brief your allies, you have to position search and rescue teams, and then there's the political element, like Trump deliberately set a deadline.
The 10-day deadline.
Right, deadlines are useful for forcing the other side to blink. But there's a huge danger here. In military strategy, we call it the use it or lose it dilemma.
What do you mean by that?
You cannot keep 2 carrier strike groups and hundreds of pilots on defensive alert indefinitely.
Because they burn out.
Exactly. Crews get fatigued, maintenance schedules get backed up, jet fuel burns at an astronomical rate just keeping the ships moving. You can hold this posture for a few weeks, maybe a month, but eventually readiness starts to actively degrade.
Wow.
If you don't use the massive force you've built up, you have to stand it down.
So the clock isn't just political right now, it's strictly operational.
Exactly. Every single day they wait is a day of intense strain on the system.
And that brings us to this strange game of strategic signaling we saw this week. The Israeli Security Cabinet, which is the group that would legally have to approve a war, was supposed to meet on Thursday.
Yes.
Then suddenly, it gets pushed to Sunday.
A very specific, highly calculated delay.
But doesn't that look weak?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're ready to go, surely you meet sooner, not later.
Not if you're trying to avoid an accident.
How so?
Think about it from Tehran's perspective. You see the 2 carriers. You see the cargo planes. You hear the rhetoric. If you then see the Israeli cabinet rushing into an emergency meeting on a Thursday night, what do you assume?
Well, you assume the attack orders are being signed right then and there.
And if you assume the attack is coming at dawn, what is your only rational move?
You hit them first. A preemptive strike.
Bingo. You try to catch their planes on the ground before they take off. The delay of the cabinet meeting, as reported by Karen, was likely a signal to Iran we are preparing, but we are not attacking tonight.
So it's intentional downshifting.
Yes, it creates a tiny bit of breathing room to ensure the war starts on U.S. and Israeli terms, not as some messy accidental escalation.
I think it's basically a giant game of chicken, but with hypersonic missiles.
It really is. And it's why Amos Yadlin's behavior this week is so telling. We have to talk about Yadlin.
Right, the former IDF military intelligence chief, he was supposed to fly to the Munich Security Conference.
Which is a major event. Everyone in the security world goes to that.
Right, and he completely canceled his trip. He candidly told Channel 12, I would think twice before flying this weekend.
That feels more significant than any official press release.
Totally.
This is a guy who knows exactly what indicators to look for. It's the ultimate canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
When the former intel chief decides he wants to be close to a bomb shelter rather than in a business class seat to Munich, it tells you the threat assessment is incredibly real.
But he also added a crucial caveat, didn't he?
He did. He said, and I quote, "A superpower does not go to war in a matter of days. There is a diplomatic path that must be exhausted."
Which, again, contradicts the CBS report that they were ready last Saturday.
Well, it contradicts the capability, but not the process.
Oh, okay.
Yadlin is reminding everyone that the U.S. still believes in a diplomatic path.
And that brings up the final twist in all of this. Because amidst all the talk of defensive alerts and fingers on triggers, Trump actually told reporters he was considering limited action.
Right.
And that a deal was still possible. And this is where I just get stuck.
How so?
We have 150 cargo planes, a 90% probability of war from the White House, and a multi-week campaign plan.
Yeah.
Colliding with talk of limited action and a possible deal. How do those two realities exist at the exact same time?
That is the ultimate question of this deep dive. Can you actually have a limited war with this much heavy hardware involved?
Right. If you drop 10,000 tons of ordnance, does the other side just say, oh, well, that was just a limited strike? We'll respond proportionally.
History strongly suggests no.
Right.
This is what strategists call the ladder of escalation.
The ladder of escalation.
Yeah. You might intend to just take out a few specific nuclear sites. But to do that safely, you have to bomb their air defense radars. When you bomb the radars, you inevitably kill operators. The enemy responds by firing anti-ship missiles at your carriers. So then you have to bomb the missile sites, which might be located near major cities.
Wow.
Suddenly, your limited strike has turned into a full-blown regional conflagration.
And with the Israeli public in the mood they're in,
Yeah.
I mean, that 59% support, it feels like there's no political brake pedal either.
None.
If the U.S. starts something limited, Netanyahu might feel immense pressure to expand it, just to finish the job that June 2025 didn't.
That is the major friction point. The U.S. might just want a punitive strike to force a better deal,
Right.
but Israel, specifically the public and the leadership, might be viewing this as the war of regime change, the war to end the threat once and for all.
Yeah.
Look at Netanyahu's quote at the IDF cadet graduation. He said, if the Ayatollahs make the mistake of attacking us, they will face a response they cannot even imagine.
Cannot even imagine. That doesn't sound like he's planning a limited negotiation tactic.
Not at all.
That sounds like total war.
It does. And he emphasized they'd be operating shoulder to shoulder with the U.S. If the U.S. creates the opening with its carriers, Israel might just drive the truck right through it.
So let's look at the next 10 days. We have this countdown. For everyone listening, what are the actual signs we should be watching for?
Well, just the civilians.
The civilians.
Yeah. If the Home Front Command suddenly changes those public guidelines, if schools are abruptly canceled, if the municipal public shelters are unlocked, that means the deterrence by denial phase is officially over and the shooting is about to start.
Okay.
And watch the U.S. diplomatic traffic. If the Secretary of State suddenly stops traveling, or if embassies in the region start burning documents.
Then we know the 90% has become 100%.
Exactly.
You know, we started this whole thing by talking about how normal Tel Aviv looks today.
Yeah.
It really feels like the calm before the storm, but a very specific kind of storm, one that literally everyone sees coming, but no one knows exactly how hard it will hit.
That's the tragedy of it. The machinery is all there now. The logic of war is essentially driving the bus.
Yeah.
The logistics, those 150 cargo flights, they create their own momentum. It is very, very hard to send 10,000 tons of weapons home completely unused.
The inertia of war.
It's a real force of nature.
Well, I want to leave everyone listening with a final provocative thought about the day after.
Okay.
If this massive machine turns on, and we actually see this multi-week campaign, what does the region even look like in March or April of 2026?
That's the real unknown.
Right, because 150 cargo planes and 2 aircraft carriers can certainly start a war. But as we've learned painfully over the last 2 decades, they cannot build the peace that follows.
Very true. And if the limited war becomes a total war, the map of the Middle East might look fundamentally different by the time spring settles in.
A very sobering thought to end on. We'll be watching the headlines and the skies very closely over the next 10 days. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Stay safe out there.